And here's another look at that net before we get it hung up there. Okay, here I am with my 4Runner. We're going on a trip this weekend. Today's Wednesday. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to squeeze in everything before we leave. I'd like to leave first thing in the morning, but today I've got to go to work. I really need to change the oil in the 4Runner. I'm just over 3,000 miles. And I also really want to put this ceiling net in the trunk here. So I don't know how I'm going to squeeze it all in and get it all done in addition to packing and everything else, but we'll do the best we can, and hopefully we can use this ceiling net on this trip. So here's a look at the 4Runner. And we'll attach 2 points on that side, and then if we come over here, we'll attach 2 more points on that side. It's hard to see with the light. And then hopefully we'll have a nice ceiling net up there that we can use to carry some extra gear and luggage, give us some extra room. We're going to have the dog on this trip, lots of different things. We'll have the roof rack loaded up with gear. Got the roof rack up there. So it's going to be a fully loaded trip. We've got a family of 5 and a dog, so it's really going to take up a lot of space. So we'll see how everything goes. Okay, I apologize for the mess back here. Like I said, I'm kind of in a rush to get this done. Didn't have the time to get everything organized. So here's the hardware that comes with the kit. We've got 2 screws per bracket, and then these are supposed to go up underneath here and then stick out right here. I believe I'll have to relook at the instructions and see how that all goes together. That's the goal, try and get this done. You can kind of see how big it will be in contrast to the back. I mean, the roof line kind of sticks in, so it's going to be back here before it can go, so it'll fill this void. I've got a sunroof in here, so it'll fill that void perfectly behind the passenger seats. Okay, it's 8:15 at night. I'm home from work. Just finished the oil change. I reinstalled the skid plate, pulled that off to put in the power steering pump. Did a couple weeks ago. Just finished washing my hands. Now I'm going to work on this ceiling net install. So hopefully this goes quickly. The oil change wasn't too bad, pretty quick. You'll have to check out my oil change video I've done in the past. I'll throw in a link right here. Well, that's pretty easy to take down. Got a couple more screws here. Keep going at it. Got another screw here. Two in here. Okay, we're tearing things up in here. I'll be honest, part of the reason I haven't got this done yet is because I hate interior. I am always worried about breaking all these little clips. I swear they always break on me. So this is actually going very smooth, a lot easier than I expected it to be. So on these 4Runners, this is a 2004 Runner. We've got this trim piece that goes up here. You have to pull 4 screws out of the light, pops down, and then you've got a screw here, and then we've got, in this model, I've got the little tray that slides out. I never use it, I think it's retarded, but this tray slides out and hooks into this little thing. 1 screw there. I think we'll be okay where that cigarette lighter outlet is. This interior piece is all connected, part of this trim. We had 2 screws right here, and then the rest of it just popped off. That seat thing popped off, and this top trim piece popped off. Up here, I think I've got enough room now. I can squeeze in there and put these screws in, and then should be pretty good. I am a little bit worried about popping through into the roof. So I am worried about popping through into the roof here, but you know, you can see that outer line. This is quite a big indent right here, so everything should be good. I mean, those screws aren't very deep, and that's the way this kit's supposed to be. So obviously I'm a little bit nervous about that, but I shouldn't have anything to worry about. So on this particular model, we've got those little buttons in the ceiling here, and it just so happens to be exactly 10 inches. So 10 inches there is 25.5 inches here, and the net's about 35.5 inches, so 25.5 to 35.5 is another 10 inches. So I'll figure out the width here now. Excuse me, not width but depth. So on depth, I think I'm going to go from this button here that's right above where the seats are at. So we can see this button here. It's right above this headrest. So we'll go 20 inches from that button in, which brings us right to where my finger is. That'll be pretty good on the back here. I think that's, like I said before, that's perfect dimensions for this. And the corners are on a 45-degree angle, so we'll figure out how that looks as far as where to screw those in at. Okay, what size drill bit? I think I'm gonna go, might be a little bit small. I think I'll go 1/8 inch for this first one. Might be a little bit too small. I think 9/64 or 5/32 is a little bit closer, be the right size. I'll try out the 1/8 inch first, see how well it goes. Okay, I'm kind of working in tight space here. Since I'm not pulling this panel all the way off, I'm just kind of pulling it back. So I'm getting kind of hard to film this, but what I did here, I've got my end of my thing will be right here about, but that'll come off on a 45-degree angle, so that puts me right about here. Kind of hard to put stuff here. There's a hole here, and this worked out just to be the best spot overall. I'm going to kind of cock it on an angle like this. So I drilled the first hole 1/8 inch, screwed it in. That size worked out pretty good. Used the impact driver on that, and then I'll drill the second hole and then put that one in. And then on these webbings, there's kind of a nicer side and a not so nice side. So I put the nicer side down. Okay, I've got the second one installed here. That one worked out pretty good too. Again, this one's cocked a little bit towards that angle. I'm really happy with how these turned out and the locations on them. Couldn't be any more perfect on the underside as well. Now I saw a few guys that online that used zip ties to hold these in. I think I'll be okay without, so I'm just going to put this back together and then we'll go on the other side. Well, there they are. I think those hooks turned out pretty nice. Okay, we're almost to the fun part. Got this last piece of trim to put up. Got this piece. Got 4 more screws. And if anybody's curious, this light right here is a LED converter light. The previous owner did that to all the lights in the vehicle. Really happy with how they look. Kind of more of a blue or clear white color than the yellow tinge of the incandescents that come stock. So I don't know if they're brighter, but I do like them. Well, let's go ahead and hang up this net. Really excited for that part. Well, it's right about 9:15 now, so that took about an hour for me to do all that. Yeah, here's kind of an underside shot. Looks pretty good. We'll see how it functions. It is really up and tight at the ceiling, so really what I wanted for a day-to-day basis, not to obstruct view when I'm looking back to pass or merge or whatever. So hopefully day-to-day it's tucked up there nice, same level as the sunroof, and then when I go going camping or on a trip or whatever, like I am this weekend, can put some stuff up there that's easy access. So get some good footage of how this actually works on this trip. Well, here's a look out the rearview mirror. As you can see, it's right above the height of the window. Turn around here. So it's pretty well tucked up there, and there's probably room for 4 to 6 inches worth of items to be stored up there. Okay, so a few items to be addressed. Don't really want to say that they're negative things or bad things, just side notes to go along with this. Over here where these front brackets are, it kind of pops out the trim piece, so this doesn't sit very well flush. This driver's side is the worst. These really didn't want to pop into place. Everything in the back here, everywhere else the trim went back fine. On this other side, again, not so bad. The passenger side only popped out maybe one of these rivets didn't pop in right. The rest were fine. So this one is a little bit cleaner install. I think the best way to resolve that might be to go back in behind there and maybe kind of notch out some of the material there. I think that bracket might be popping something out. Also, when this pulls down, this might kind of pull on that trim a little bit as well. So don't want to say that's a bad thing. I mean, that's kind of something to expect with this setup or install. The other thing, kind of side note, will be the length of these straps. I mean, we've got 14, 18 inches extra. So I've kind of tucked these up in here. But even doing that, they're kind of poking down and dangling out. I can always trim those to fit, and I'd rather them be too long than be too short. Okay, I've got this net all loaded up. I've got a emergency blanket, and then a coat for our whole family, and then a jacket for our whole family. So we've got quite a bit up there. It's sagging a little more in the middle than I would have liked, but there really is a lot up there, and it's only taken up. You know, the roof is really not that much higher. In the middle, it's probably, I'd guess, 8 inches, and then on the sides, it's closer to 3. So there's some sag in the middle. Go take a look at the rearview mirror. Okay, here's a view from the driver's seat, looking through the rearview mirror. So it does does drop down. It probably cuts out on 4 to 6 inches of the view. But usually when we go on trips, that's packed to the ceiling anyway, so I can't see out there. So we'll see how that helps to divide everything. Okay, here's another view at that. And then the way I did this, I left these two on this side cinched up tight, and then I just loosened up the ones on the back side, made a really nice slant to load everything up, and then put everything on and then cinched it back together. So that finishes up this install video of this Raingler ceiling mat.